morning. Welcome back to my kitchen. So glad you've joined me again. You wouldn't believe what I have in store for today. I have to make a double batch of a couple different recipes. My son's girlfriend works at a very important place for a very important person. And one of the employees is retiring. And the county is buying the cake and some refreshments, but she wanted me, because she knows I do these cooking videos, she wanted me to kind of, I think, do something homemade for the gal. And that's kind of hence my sign. Happiness is homemade, and isn't it? Anytime you can get anything out of a kitchen that's homemade, so much better than store-bought. So today I'm going to do a coconut brownie, kind of a gooey one. It's going to be really rich, dark chocolate, sweet and good. And the first thing I'm going to make is the ganache that goes on top of the brownies. And you have to make it ahead of time because you need to put it into the refrigerator and have it cool for 2 hours. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. You'll need some heavy whipping cream. I like to shake mine up very much like buttermilk. I just kind of like to shake it up. And you just measure out 1/3 of a cup on the measuring cup here. And you're going to put that into a little saucepan. Now, in this saucepan, I've gotten mine pretty hot, which I want. And I need, let's see my scissors there right now. Let me grab my scissors. Can't get these bags open without scissors. You're gonna take a cup of just your semi-sweet chocolate morsels. Now, I have gone ahead and I've made this recipe, 1 pan of it, because I don't like to double a recipe. Sometimes the recipes just don't come out the way you really want them to. And so I went ahead and just made the whole thing. And now what I'm doing is completely starting all over so that I can show you how to make it. So we're going to put it in there and we're going to let this boil, which it is now. It's boiling. And these are the dark chocolate chips. The first one I made was just with semi-chocolate chips, but these are the dark ones. So your 1/3 of a cup of your heavy whipping cream is now just going to be poured onto those chocolate chips. You don't want to stir it. You don't want to do anything for 5 minutes. Let me set this aside and turn on my little timer. Okay. And while that's setting as far as being put in here, after the 5 minutes, then you can take a spoon, any kind of spoon, and you're going to whip it all up. And then you stick that in the refrigerator, like I said, for a good 2 hours. Just before the 2 hours is up, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Get a little pan, not like this size, 8x8 pan. Well, this is 8x9, I guess, pan. And what I did is I sprayed it with some cooking spray. And then I've gone ahead and lined it with 2 sheets here of the parchment paper. Now, you don't have to do this, and I don't need to on this one, but I do want these to come out fairly easy out of this pan. So I'm going to go ahead and have them as my little helpers today, that it's going to help get these brownies out of this pan. So again, spray the pan. Put your sheets in here, kind of cut them. I don't like to put them over the pan because sometimes they drop down into your mixture. So I'm just gonna leave mine like this. That's all I'm gonna do. And then I'll pop back on here after this has cooled for the 2 hours and begin showing you how to make this fun little recipe. So I'll be right back. Catch you in a few. I'm back to begin my recipe on this wonderful fall afternoon. Sunday afternoon, everybody else is off watching the Denver Broncos, and where am I? In my kitchen, cooking as usual. Okay, so let's begin this simple recipe. There's a couple of little steps that you have to follow along the way, and I'll try to go real slow at it. So you're going to need 3/4 of a cup of butter. Get you a pan. or not a pan, but a bowl. To put this in. This would be 1 stick, which is a half a stick of the butter. Second, this is another half, so that's 1 1/2. But you need 3/4 of a cup. Now, I didn't set this out. It's a little soft right now, but I did not set my butter out because I'm going to be putting this in the microwave along with 1 cup of chocolate chips. 1 cup of the chocolate chips. And I'm just going to kind of pop over and do this for a few minutes. Here's the chocolate chips. Then I'm going to do 30 seconds, stir it, 30 seconds more, stir it. Probably 3 times at 30 seconds, and then this will be all nice and melted, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we're on to part 2. Next step, number 2 of the next step. So we have melted, I have melted, the chocolate and the butter in the microwave. And like I said, you just do 30 seconds, give it a stir, do 30 seconds, give it a stir, and 1 more time at 30 seconds and give it a stir. Now it's going to be liquidy like this, and that's okay. You just set that aside for a minute. Now we're going to take a bowl, and just a medium-sized little bowl, doesn't matter. And you're going to take 3/4 of a cup of flour, just all-purpose flour. And then we need, let's see, the cocoa powder. I have to get you your cocoa powder. A 1/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. Just level it off in here. Stick that in. These are your dry ingredients now. And then we're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That in there. And just kind of whisk that up of the dry ingredients in the bowl. So that's going to look like this now. It's all kind of just blended in there. Okay, set that aside. Okay, now in a larger bowl, you're going to take 3 eggs. Now I have had mine out at room temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 eggs in. And then it calls for 1 cup of sugar, which I have here. Sticky eggs all over. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I use my Madagascar vanilla. This is a brand new one. I'll get into here, maybe. Maybe. I have stayed with this Madagascar because it smells so good. Very rich and pure, and I like it. I really do. Okay, so there is that. And just take a spoon and go ahead and mix that up. You do not need a blender or anything for this. You're just mixing this recipe up by hand. I kind of whip it up pretty good here. Looking on my little cheat sheet here that I went and bought me one of these. You can find them at Walmart. And I'll tell you what, it's been a lifesaver for holding my recipes because when I'm doing this cookbook and I have to do so much typing, I just barely glance over at that and I can get all of the ingredients mixed just well. Okay, now we're going to go back and take the mixture of the melted mixture of the cocoa and the butter, and we're going to put that into the egg mixture here, the egg and the sugar mixture here. Stick that in. This is a layered process of this recipe, but Oh, it smells so good. It really does. Just give that a whirl a little bit just to get that sugar well blended in there. Well blended. And then we're going to take the dry mixture now. And I like to do kind of half and half, so I'm going to take half of it and mix it up. Just like you would if you were doing this with your tabletop mixer. And now I'm going to take the other half and mix that up. And then that's going to be poured now into this baking pan. Oven again is at 350 degrees. My ganache is in the refrigerator, all cool and nice, getting cold and nice. Make sure this is well blended. Well blended. Now remember, this is not a cake mix or anything. This is a brownie mix with extras. So it's going to look just like a regular brownie mix would. Take this off. And the reason why I kind of like these bowls with the little pour spout are for dishes just like this, is it kind of helps it along. It really does. So I just kind of like to go slow when I'm using the parchment paper and get it started in there, and then I just kind of stop and I make sure that the sides are down really well on the parchment paper before I continue getting the rest of this into the pan. Now you're going to bake this 350 degrees again for 30 to 35 minutes. The first one that I did, I went ahead and baked for right at 35 minutes. Right at 35 minutes. And then after that's done, I'll be back to show you the next layer, the coconut layer of what we're going to do, how to make that and put that on there. So I'm going to pop this in the oven. Okay, I'm back again, and it's time to make the coconut layer for these brownies. So any coconut, any brand, whatever, but they just come in little bags like this. And you're going to need 3 cups of coconut. So pour that into a bowl. And then you're going to need 1 can. I always buy the Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk. I just like that brand. They have off brands, but I just find that this one is richer in consistency, and I just really like the flavor of it. So we're going to take 1 full can and put that in here. The brownie part is still cooking in the oven. It's only got a few more minutes to go, and the reason why we need to make this right now is that this needs to go over the hot brownies. The coconut has to go over the hot brownies, and then you're going to place it back in the oven for another 15 minutes. And I did a little boo-boo. Everybody messes up in their kitchen. Yes, even me. And I had a very important phone call I had to take, and I missed one of the little ingredients before I popped it into the oven, but I am not worried about it. It was the other half of the bag of chocolate chips that you were to put in that bowl, and I remember doing it on the first recipe that I did, but I forgot that, so you know what I did? It's not going to hurt. It's all going to bake and be good. I went ahead and put it on the top layer of the brownies while it's still cooking, so they're melting in there just fine. 1 teaspoon, again, of the vanilla. And then we're going to need 4 tablespoons of flour. Just all-purpose flour. 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the flour. Okay, take a spoon and mix all that up. Mix all this up of the coconut. Coconut smells so good. I like coconut. There's some people that don't care for it. And these guests of at this party, this retirement party, they're not going to have a choice. They either like what I cook or they don't. Kind of like me. I've always said that. My dad was like that too. You either like me or you don't. There's no in between. Well, the cooking's kind of the same way. You either like my recipe or you don't. But I think they'll like this. I really do. Because like I said, I'm going to not put these as great big squares like you do a regular brownie. I'm going to cut these pretty small so that they're just bite-sized that they can pop them in their mouth. Okay, so now that's what the mixture looks like. And that's what we need. I've got about 8 more minutes on my baking time as far as the brownies. But I'll pop back on in just a few when they get out of the oven and I'm ready to spread this on the top. And don't panic what it looks like. Okay, the brownies are out of the oven. This is what they look like. And this is my little boo-boo of what I did of not putting it in. But like I said, I don't really care because it's all going to get covered up and bake again. So I'm going to take my, and how I did it with the first recipe, actually, is I took it by spoonfuls with a knife. And I just started putting it on to the top here. Kind of slow. Just kind of take by spoonfuls to get this mixture on here. Not all over the pan, but in the pan. And just kind of help it along. So this nice coconut mixture is on top of the brownies. I did cook mine the full, it said 30 to 35 minutes. On the recipe as far as baking the first part of the brownies. I went the entire 35 minutes. I do like to have things get done. And so that's what I did on that. And again, cut your parchment paper so that it doesn't overlap and fall back down into the batter. You don't want that. There's plenty of this nice coconut mixture to go on top. The last step is putting the ganache on there. And when you're doing that, don't panic on that either because it's cold. You know, it's firm and it's cold. And that's okay. That's all right. If I can get it out of this pan here. Kind of sticky. Sticky, sticky. And for all you young ladies out there that are watching and saying, oh, I just wouldn't even attempt to do that. That's too intimidating. All those steps. It's really not. No, it's really not. You just have to follow just a couple little things. And it'll be all right. I said, if you were in my kitchen right now, you wouldn't want to leave my little counter bar area here because this smells pretty good. It really does. Okay, now like I said, you're gonna, after this is done now, I'm gonna stick it back in my oven for 15 minutes and then I'll be right back. Okay, it's time to put the ganache on to the brownies. So they've just got a few seconds left in there. I went ahead and chopped up the cold ganache, which is our heavy whipping cream and our chocolate chips. So it's still very cold, but I'm just gonna get it kind of ready like I did the first one to go on. Now this seems kind of crazy, but it does work. I don't know that I would put it on warm. I might on a different recipe and then stick it back in the refrigerator and let it get cold and let everything set again. But I followed everything per recipe instructions. So hang on just a minute, let me grab the brownies. Okay, here is the mixture that is now, that has the hot coconut on it. And what I did before is I would just take little dabs, take it on your spoon, however you want to do it. But I just kind of made little dabs all over the hot coconut with this mixture. And again, it's going to look funny until it starts melting on the coconut. Because this is very, very hot pan, very hot coconut on top. And once you get it going, you will see, with this one, I'm doing smaller pieces than when I first did it. That you put this all over. And again, once it starts melting, you can take your knife then and easily, very tenderly and easy, start spreading it all over the coconut. I haven't made this recipe. This was a new one. Wouldn't you know, I do something like this as an experiment for a big function of my son's girlfriend's really counting on me on all this. Well, she kind of put me under the firing gun here to do this. Last week I had some other commitments I had to finish, and she just kind of pops around the corner while I was at my son's house having dinner and says, by the way, would you do this, you know? And oh my gosh, she didn't give me very much time to kind of prepare and do, and I didn't want to make a whole bunch of the cream puffs again. They're nice, they are. But cream puffs are cream puffs, you know, and they can get a little messy to eat and everything else. And I've already done them. So I thought, no, they're going to get something brand new and different. And when I get done with this particular recipe, then I go into my second recipe, second video, that I will be doing the second part of another treat of what she's getting along with these nice coconut brownies. And I know she'll get a big kick out of that because I sent her after one item that I don't normally go and get. So I think she's getting a big kick out of me already. I really do. So again, once you get the chocolate on here, finally get it on here, then you can't see it from the camera view of how it is starting to melt. It is. But you have to help it along melt. And that's what you got to do. You got to kind of help it along. And it'll go on. It will. I'll show you in just a second here what my other one looks like that I've already done before this one. And then I'm going to be sticking both of these pans in the refrigerator to cool at least 2 hours. But they're going to cool longer than that because after the 2 hours, then I'm going to get them out and I'm going to cut them in my little pieces and get them ready for my plastic containers, long plastic containers that I'm going to be putting them in. So here was the first one that I did. Now, again, after you get all of this chocolate ganache on here, then see it's starting right now to settle down where you can spread it carefully. You have to go careful at it. You really do. And it starts to melt all over, just as if you had had it in the oven, or just as if when it was warmed, what I did. But the whole idea is to kind of have the sticky gooey anyway to it. And again, just kind of break it up with your knife. Keep going with it, break it up. I kind of like the parchment paper on here for doing this part of it because I can wipe my knife and it's not all over the pan. It is, but it isn't. And just kind of helps. So that is the step for making this coconut chocolate brownie, layered brownies that I hope she enjoys. I hope the people at this retirement party enjoy. And so I'll take time now and I'll just keep smoothing this with my knife. Just keep smoothing it, just like I did this one. And like I said, I'll pop this back in the refrigerator for it to cool a lot more, because it has to cool lots more. And then I'll jump into my next video. I'm going to be combining these two. You'll see the finished product all on its tray that they're combined. So it'll look kind of pretty, the little chocolate squares of this plus something else that I'm doing. So I hope you've enjoyed this part of Sunday's video, Cooking with Carol Diane, from my kitchen to yours. Go have a great Sunday. Catch you later. Bye-bye.